Here we go. Welcome to Money Making Conversation. I am your host, Rushion McDonald. Each Money Making Conversation talk show is about entrepreneurship and entertainment. I provide the consumer and business owner access to interviews with celebrities, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and industry decision makers. It is important to understand that everybody travels a different path to success. That is because your brand is different. The challenges you face in your life are different. So stop reading other people's success stories and start writing your own. Now, you can be motivated by their success. Understand that. That is a blessing because their stories can offer direction and help you reach your goals through your planning and your committed effort. The interviews that I bring to the forefront on Money Making Conversation, hopefully are relatable to you, and it will provide you information as a listener about career and financial planning, entrepreneurship, motivation, leadership, overcoming the odds, and how to live a balanced life. Now, let's get back to my guest here. She's on the phone. My next guest is a screenwriter. Now. See, I'm a sitcom writer. She's a screenwriter. That's a big difference. We're going to talk about that. She is straight out of Compton, California. Both the father and brother formerly served as mayors. I'm pretty sure I've met them. I'm pretty sure. She holds a Master's of Fine Arts in Screenwriting from Loyola Marymount University, a Master's of Art from Fuller Seminary, and is an ordained minister. So I can't use any extra words on the show. She's on the show to discuss overcoming the odds, being mentored by my man, John Singleton, and the incredible Lifetime movie, The Clark Sisters, First Ladies of Gospel. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation, Camille Tucker.
Hi, Rushion. Thank you for having me.
Camille. So where you at, Camille? What part of the country, are you sitting there right now?
I'm in LA. I'm in the LA area, LA, California, Cali.
Cali, straight out of Compton, huh?
Straight out of Compton. I'm proud of it.
Straight out of Compton. I know Steve Harvey and I, when we was broadcasting in 2000 to 2005, we did several live broadcasts from City Hall, Compton City Hall. Now, so the interesting thing about it is that when we signed our contract in 2000 to do 92.3 The Beat, which was in Los Angeles, California, they would do live broadcasts, but they wouldn't do live broadcasts in the Black communities. And so it was kind of like, it was always on the perimeter. Black people had to come to us. And so we went to Baldwin Hills, which is off of Crenshaw in Los Angeles. And we went to Compton. People go, y'all gonna go to Compton? And we went to Watts. See, these are primary locations if you're listening from other part of the country. Every place I said is Black folks. Baldwin Hills, Watts, Compton, straight Black people. Okay. They ain't got to come to you. They're gonna walk to you. Okay, they don't get in a bus. They're going to just walk up to you and shake your hand. And it changed our lives. But more importantly, we wanted to tell a different narrative of what people thought and what they saw in movies, what they saw on TV about Black people in these communities. They're just like you. They're middle class. They want better for their children and what they have for themselves.
Totally.
And I kind of got that when I was reading your bio about who you are as a person and knowing that your father was the mayor of Compton and your brother was also the mayor of Compton. Talk about that whole experience and just growing up in that environment, then moving out of that environment.
Yeah, I feel I'm totally a daughter of Compton. And something interesting, my father, Walter R. Tucker II, used to always say, he said that people would say, can any good thing come from Compton? Mm-hmm. And he told them, well, they used to say the same thing about Nazareth.
Right.
My dad used to say that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And as we know, that's where Jesus came from,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
People always have a certain stigma about certain locations, and it's not or certain cities or places, communities. And when you grow up in that community, you know really what the community is. And I grew up in a place where people looked out for each other, where they cared about the local politics and people involved. They were civic servants. And interestingly, I grew up in a neighborhood called Richland Farms, which was zoned for livestock.
Right.
So that's something people don't. There were Black cowboys in my community riding down this with their chaps and on horses. Mm-hmm. And so that was really rich. My friend had steer and they used to compete in the 4-H and everything. But what I did see was Venus and Serena practicing at Compton Community College with their father. Mm-hmm. So I saw them. I mean, I literally, they're products of it, and other great friends and people that I know just a business colleague, Ava DuVernay, and Leslie Sykes-Spann, who's on the ABC Channel 7 News. So we know that good things and good people can come from anywhere. But Compton is a big part of my writing, my influences, the local color, the people that I met, the interactions that I had living in an all-Black community and even going to a predominantly white school, and just the interesting dichotomy of those experiences is what really inspired me as a writer. So I am grateful for that background and that experience.
Well, it articulates in your tone. And I think that's important because of the fact that that's why I feel blessed that I can have this, I think, a natural conversation with you about LA from a Black perspective of how people, because rap put a label on, rap was successful, but it also led people to believe that, violence, gangsters. And so that didn't help. It helped the rappers pay pocketbooks, but it didn't help the communities. And so perception breeds ignorance sometimes, when the ignorance is what you're projecting. And that's what the neighborhoods like Watts, neighborhoods like Baldwin Hills area, South Central was not even a community, but it became like a community. And just an area of the streets of Crenshaw that you drive down. And then, of course, Compton. And it was really the thought process that watch your back. And you hear Black people, watch your back when you go over there, boy. And so now when it gets that deep.
Well, what's interesting also was my father and his brothers were all doctors, and they had a high-rise medical building in the middle of Watts on 103rd. So, I mean,
Camille, we on the show to tell the truth. This one, we're going to talk about the first ladies of gospel, but we got to tell the truth first, Camille. That's why I brought you on the show. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, girl. Preach a little bit. You're ordained minister. Preach a little bit. Preach.
Well, I think what's so cool is that you see, and I see, like my father went to Meharry Dental School. And I remember growing up from my friends from either Compton, Carson, Baldwin Hills, and even some lived in Palos Verdes. These African-American men who had gone to Howard, who had gone to Morehouse, who had gone to like Meharry. My mother went to Fisk, who had a lot of just pride in their, not bad pride, but the pride in what their work ethic and what they did. And they passed down great values to us. So what I see, like you said, is middle-class people, working-class people who wanted the next generation to thrive. And I think they passed down great values to us. So that's the other side of the story. And to be honest, when you talk about a window into the Clark sisters, the way I was raised, and my dad was also an associate pastor in the Baptist church, I believe that equipped me, or it uniquely spoke to me when this project came to me in 2005. And I saw it was about this strong woman who helped mold her daughters for excellence and wanted them to rise above stereotypes or any kind of thing like that placed on them. And I felt like that was my mother and my father. And I felt like those were the values that were instilled in me. So I could relate so much to that. And I could also relate to raising up in the scrutiny of the church and how some of that feels and how you're trying to find your voice. For me, particularly as a creative artist. So I feel like the way that I was raised and my family and my heritage had a big part of me wanting to tell this story and to be involved in this project.
Well, it's interesting because you see a lot of things on TV, and I could never do that because it was written with a certain level of sensibility, and I believe in God, but not to the way that you've lived a godly life. Like you said, raised in the church, father, minister. You became an ordained minister, but still have everyday life.
But I wasn't always living a godly life.
Come on. I know.
I was UCLA freshman year, Rashawn. I was partying.
Come here, you're ordained minister. We can't go like that now. We can't go like that.
I gotta tell you the truth.
You gotta stay nun. You gotta be a nun.
My religious. It's part of my experience. That's why I came to the Lord.
Camille, what I'm just saying is that see, you just jumped out there. Can you let me just do my show a little bit? Can you just let me lavish praise on you? Because I'm just saying, you have a shaped life. In other words, you have the title of being an ordained minister, and that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to start with the Straight Outta Compton story. so we can shape who you are, because a lot of people don't understand how you get to these places. That's why I want to bring up John Singleton in a minute, because see, all these things shape you to be able to tell a story. Like I said, we're watching this movie, this amazing movie, because I had Kierra Sheard on it. They let me see the movie prior to it premiering on Lifetime. So I was like all in. I couldn't even wait to talk to her about it, and then so when they aired, I was telling people, gotta watch it. I said, this movie's amazing. Because reason I say that, because here are the Clark sisters, and then you talk about Rashad. I wasn't always like ordained, because in this movie it wasn't a goody two-shoe story. Okay.
That's right.
It shows some dark sides. And so that is why I have to tell people, well, why was she able to pull it out? Because look at who she is. She's a black woman, blew up in a black community, not with a bad, the world saw it a different way than she lived it. She went to a white environment, educated in that process. And so you walk so many different lanes. And because you walk so many different lanes, it allows you to say, can I tell an honest story here? Because they could have sugarcoated a lot of things. Mama Clark, she could have been like a cool lady, but she wasn't. She was a tough, and I told Kierra, I said, Kierra, she was kind of tyrannical to me. Kierra, she wasn't tyrannical. Hey, I'm just saying, she's pretty dominant. I was just letting you know what I saw. I saw a dominating personality. This woman said, poor homegirl, she couldn't even have a life. She had to drive her mama everywhere. And but this was part of the story. The grandfather or the father of the Clark sisters he was, physically abused his mama. So that stuff could have been left out. But y'all told a real story. That's why I loved it. And it's a blessing that you had the ability to craft the story and then co-write the story. That's a journey in itself, isn't it?
Yes. So much a journey, and a worthy journey, and a journey I'm so grateful for, to be a part of that experience. And I had to dig in the deepest part of myself to help tell that story.
Now, let me ask you this. In the process of telling an honest story, now, we all know this is as honest as it's going to get. Were there any pushback on certain storylines that were developed that weren't flattering? Were there any pushback?
Yeah, there was no pushback. The Clark sisters were very open and very vulnerable and wanted the truth to be told. Mm-hmm. I would say that there were certain things that we wanted to do more nuanced. Like, you'll notice when the scene between Mattie and her husband, you don't see the violence on screen.
Right.
It's behind the closed doors. And that was an adjustment to bring more nuance. So you don't necessarily have to see it, but you know what's happening. And that's how some of the younger daughters experienced, some of the drama that was going on in the household.
Right.
So, I think little changes like that can sometimes make the story more powerful.
Well, that's old school movie telling. Back in the day, when people were about to make love, they just they faded to dark, then they come back smoking cigarettes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You pretty much knew something happened between the fade to dark and the cigarette smoking. And so I got that. And that's why, and I felt that that's the only way you should tell this story. Because if you went any darker, that's a different story. The story is about this mom who was on a mission, a godly mission, to empower her daughter. Because she said, look, you guys are not going to be cooks and maids. She was passionate about that. She wanted more for her daughters. And I'm talking to my friend, Camille Tucker, amazing writer. The hit movie on Lifetime, it'll be re-aired. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The Clark sisters, the first ladies of gospel. Woo! The film was the highest rated original movie of the year across all networks with a viewership of 2.7 million. Lifetime is happy. Very happy.
And now it's up to 11 million.
See what I'm saying? She won't let me get none of my facts out. I'm just so tired of you, Camille. You just gonna just take all my little thunder, huh? I got another break now. You can't give away all my information on one break. I just love talking to you. We be back with more Camille Tucker. She is something else, boy. I love her. Money Making Conversations. Be right back. Hi, this is Rashawn McDonald. We're talking to Camille Tucker. Came up with the story, 2005. Co-wrote the brilliant portrayal of the Clark sisters, the first ladies of gospel. The thing about it, I don't want to tell the movie, but it was compelling. I didn't know where the story was going to go. The fact that they were from Detroit, in the heart of the Motown era, and their mom said, "No, you're doing gospel," and they could all blow. They could blow.
Yeah,
they were attractive and could blow. Lets me know that they were. Jackson 5 was just eating up the airwaves, radio waves, but she was on a mission. Can you give us an insight that what made the Clark sisters, besides being talented, what made them successful?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I just want to also give honor to the beautiful queens, the Clark sisters, and thank them for their life and their legacy to tell this story. But, there's a key line that Dr. Mattie Moss Clark says. She says, "I'm going to make you stars for Jesus." Right. And so she was determined that they stayed in the church. But I think two things are very interesting. Number one, they call it one voice in the movie. At one point, we were kind of toying around with the phrase family blend. Mm-hmm. And those sisters are anointed because their voices all sound like one voice. Right. And their blend is perfect. And I think that there's something that happens with families, like God does something magical in the DNA that, one sings first soprano, the other sings second soprano, the other one sings alto, the other one's contralto, the other one's tenor. How do you get each daughter has that different range? How do you don't plan that? So that is fascinating to me. And I think that's one of the reasons that they are so successful, because of that family blend. It sounds like honey. It sounds like their voices are coming down from heaven. And then the other thing, in addition to all of them having a very unique gift that blends together, Twinkie's musical writing genius is huge. Right. See, the thing about Twinkie is she studied musical theory and she combined different genres. And we saw that with You Brought the Sunshine, but she was doing that all the time. She'd be like, I want some jazz, I want some reggae, I want some R&B, I want some gospel. And she'd mix them together and come up with songs. And that was, I think, big in terms of people being like, this is unique, this is fresh. So I think that was a big part of it too.
Well, it really was. I think she wrote over 250 songs. I believe that was one of the credits that I read at the end of the movie. It was, the thing about it is that, and watching, and because, you got to watch the movie. Well, they don't all turn out good for all Clark sisters, and that's a point that I think that one can have a vision and a focus and say, this is what I think you should do. But everybody wants to live their own lives. And sometimes, and when you do that, you see that in groups break up. I was looking at the Kiss. Yeah. The Kiss breaking of the band. They were talking about how Gene and he stayed and the other two went away. And so then they wanted to come back. And so it's like a lot of people. What my biggest takeaway was that the reason the Clark sisters are very successful. Yes, the mom was very driven. Okay. But the daughters were willing to work hard. They were willing to find that one note that you're talking about. One note. And they were willing to drive her everywhere. But the other thing that came out of it is that she was a female in a very, very male-dominated world.
Yes, absolutely.
And it showed itself a couple of times when they were dealing with the record deal as a promoter. Okay, because she was booking their dates, and then the church. Yeah. How did that play a role in your storytelling?
It was so important to me because I did not know really as much about Dr. Mattie Moss Clark before I started on this project, and I felt like we have these unsung heroes and sheroes and heroines, and I felt like she was someone so critical and such a trailblazer for that time that a lot of people didn't know about. And I felt challenged and I felt honored. Like, I want the people to know about this woman who was really kind of bucking the standard. Right. And I believe helped bring about change in the Church of God in Christ. Right. I feel like some of the way that the Church of God in Christ is now, whereas you can see the Clark sisters being able to cross different platforms, go into sing in secular arenas or go to Essence Fest or whatever, wear pants and things like that. We have to give a tribute to going, look, I think the Clark sisters were the ones that helped forge that path, and Dr. Mattie Moss Clark helped forge that path.
Right.
So I see her as someone just like how we, and I don't want to like compare importance to people, but we give tribute to like Harriet Tubman, or we say she was a great woman in history and she helped change things. And I feel like Dr. Mattie Moss Clark too, and also having her doctorate in music and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at that and I'm like, thank you for women like that who had the courage that opened opportunities for women like me today and other women, whether they're singers, artists, or what have you. And it's fascinating to me.
Well, I thought it was important for you. What you're articulating is very important, but I view what they accomplished and still accomplishing today was the gospel version of what Destiny Child became.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good,
because of an amazing breakthrough, because the Destiny Child, that was an industry dominated by whites. Okay. What they did, R&B group, it became a pop powerhouse.
Yeah.
And we know that, gospel music at that time was just dominated by ministers, and men dominated that sound. And then that's what made her so driven in that scene that she talks to the church. And they, like I said, the cool thing is that when I'm telling you this story, I'm telling you about a journey, and it's a journey from, when the first thoughts, and it carries through the ups and downs, the pains of success, the unexpected lows of success. Because, when you're on a journey of success, you expect it to just be upwardly, just go skyrocket, but it doesn't. Somehow you guys are able to show their relationships with because what Mama Clark didn't bet on was other outside relationship tearing a group apart in her eyes. These girls are going to eventually become women, and women are eventually going to meet men. And men are going to have decisions with the women or the wives and all this stuff. That's what she didn't prepare for. And that really was her most humbling part of how to deal with that and come to grips with that. And I thought you guys did a very good job of that in your storytelling.
Yeah, thank you. And I know one of the scenes that, like, I'm hearing feedback from people, the scene with Twinkie and her new husband, and how it was relayed to us. And that's a scene that's really getting a lot of people. And that's a pretty powerful scene. There's several scenes in that film that are just like, whoa.
Outside the church was powerful.
At the interaction with John Terrell and Mama Clark and Dr. Mattie Moss Clark,
Y'all had plenty of powerful scenes. Don't underserve yourself. It was so many act break, go to commercial. It was so many great scenes, and I'm just happy I got to see it just straight through. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just so amazing moment. But I also want to point out this is that it was a note that it was so many stars in social media that got on board with this project. Taraji P. Henson, the man Tyler Perry, Mariah Carey, Ava DuVernay, Janet Jackson. So many people just said, watch for so many different genres. How did that make you feel? This is your little project. It started in 2005. This is the Clark Sisters on Lifetime. We all pray for a big moment. We always say, hey, man, this can be the one. But when you start seeing these media posts, because I know what it can do, because that's what happened to me on Think Like a Man, the first movie, because every P. Diddy, Dwayne Wade, Kevin Hart, of course, all these people were just posting left and right. And we made $33 million our opening weekend. So I know what happens when you push a brand, and this got pushed so much in social media. And like you said, it's 11 million now viewers now. Okay. So just, the
2.7 the first night, I calculated that if it was a theatrical release would have been $43 million, which is amazing. But I feel blessed. I feel humble. I'm still processing it, Rashawn, honestly. Well, I saw LeBron James, had Jamie Foxx, Mariah Carey, Janet Jackson, and I'm really still Priscilla Shear, Martha Manuzzi, and I'm still just like, God, thank you. Like, I'm really just, my heart is full and opportunities are opening up, and I'm very excited about, just being able to be in this place. I don't think we thought that people would connect, but this means it really connected with an audience.
Absolutely. And I'd be remiss. I know we're wrapping up, but I want to talk about John Singleton. He was your mentor, and we all know, what he's done in this business, and when you start talking about Black directors, male directors, Spike Lee, John Singleton. They broke the ground for us. They broke the ground for us and doing it different ways, doing it their way. So tell me, how did you create a relationship get your relationship started, and how did he impact who you are becoming, and how he helped you along the way?
I met John when we were both in college, actually. He was at USC and I was at UCLA, so he was at my crosstown rival. And he was directing a music video, actually, and I was in the video. And that's how we first met. And after we both graduated and started forging our paths as filmmakers, he came to me and my former writing partner one day about a script called Gold Diggers, and we ended up writing it together and selling it to Universal. It didn't get made, but during that process, the thing that I learned most from John is about craftsmanship. He would sit and watch movies with me and walk me through frame by frame what was going on in the film, what the filmmaker was doing, and taught me about cinematic language. And I will always be grateful for him for that, because I think we have to be artists and we also have to be business people, which is part of what you talk about with Money Matters. But on the artist side, that really opened up my world to see that cinematic language and to try to take that into every project that I do. And he was a cinematic, brilliant director. And I see the same thing in Christine Swanson, who directed the Clark sisters. Right. That's what makes the difference when we see a film. Like, every frame is so beautifully shot and a part of telling the story. And that's what really motivates me to continue to be a storyteller like that.
Well, Camille, this is a one big moment. This is one big on your resume. What's next for you? What do we got looking in the future for you?
I have an inspirational romantic comedy called Blessed in the City, which is based on my real life. And I would say it's the woman of faith version of Sex and the City. So in Sex and the City, they were having a lot of sex, and in my movie, they aren't having a lot of sex. Right.
Blessed in the City. I love it.
It's about dating sexually abstinently and dating and seeking God in your relationship. I also have a project called The Kennedys of Compton, which is a TV pilot, and it's about a Black political family in Compton, California.
Wow. Well, first of all, I'm a fan, and I direct message you and say, hey, would you do my show? And you said, Rashawn, they've already contacted me. So, it made me look bad. I thought I was about to, slide on in, act like I'm doing some big doggish. No, they've already contacted me. I'm going to do the show. Well, I'm a fan, and know that anything you do, Blessed in the City come out, please know you can come here first, or something other project that you're doing. But thank you, congratulations. It is a fantastic movie. I put a banner in my fan club when it went out to 90,000 people last weekend. I like to believe I'm contributing to those millions that are watching it. I've social media posted on my other platforms other than LinkedIn. So, Camille, I'm doing my part. I might not be Janet Jackson. I might not be Tyler Perry. I might not be Ava DuVernay. I might not be Taraji P. Henson. I'm just Rashawn McDonald and Money Making Conversations, girl. Bless you.
Well,
Bless you.
Thank you so much. You're a dynamic man and a great role model and friend. I appreciate you. Thank you. And my friend Sherry McGee McCovey says hello.
Come on. That girl right there. Woo! So it's really nice that when I look at my life, and I feel you're part of my life. And I look at people like Sherry and so many other people who've shaped me and have supported me. And because all my, people look at my life, they look at the outside of my life. They don't look at how it's got there or the down moments in my life. And the people like Sherry McGee's of the world, the Felicia Hendersons of the world, the Sarah Finney Johnsons of the world. These people have always been there from a female side that have always couldn't believe how talented I was and couldn't believe how crazy I was. But when it wasn't going, when all the craziness was taking over and I needed support, they were there for me. So I consider that relationship I'm going to have with you, Camille. You are now one of my sisters. Okay.
Oh, thank you. And thank you so much for the interview. Take care, my friend.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye. If you want to hear more
Bye.
Money Making Conversation interviews, go to moneymakingconversation.com. I'm Rushion McDonald.